Many people with misophonia have particular habits which let their family or friends know that they have an issue. But what about those who have misophonia who are bothered by sounds that may not be quite so common as the ones that affect me, and may not cause them to act out in such extreme ways that people such as myself are capable of? Or perhaps it bothers them to a lesser extent in general, or maybe they just have more fortitude than I do. But I have read stories about people who have this disorder only with people that they're close to, and the noises made by other people outside of the family may not bother them so much. This one may be a little difficult to prove, even considering the ensuing divorce or disconnect within the family that may occur. For example, I'm bothered by sounds on both fronts, but even if it were only family, it wouldn't change the way things are now with my family. I tend to stay away from my family as much as possible, and when I am around them, I wear my headphones as much as possible. Which of course makes me seem like kind of a shit, but give me a break here. Nothing bothers me more than coughing, and I can't hardly stand to be around my family for more than a few seconds without my earbuds in, when someone just has to pick that moment to cough. I can't state enough to people that the most annoying noise they can possibly think of, not to mention the way it makes them feel, is basically what I hear and feel every time I hear one of the particular sounds that bothers me. And no matter how many times I hear it, it doesn't get easier to bear. You might wonder then how it is possible for me to be around people at all without showing signs of how much it bothers me. Unless, of course, it gets too much for me to bear, then I have to get up and abruptly leave. Well, it's because I have to avoid showing signs. And I've spent the worst part of a decade trying to make sure that no one notices. It's like living in some kind of purgatory when it isn't hell. I'd perhaps be more willing to hang around my family without my headphones in, even though it doesn't get any easier, if at least certain members of my family would be a little less insulting about my problems. But at any rate, the issue is, if it's just the person's word with no other obvious signs to prove that they're feeling the way they are, what cause do you have to believe them when they don't act out? Do you have any reason to? The answer is, of course there would be no physical proof for this person, since they have also tried very hard not to make sure that anyone notices that they have a problem, so that they can appear to be normal, because of course they know they're supposed to be normal. Even so, there is anxiety that none of us can completely cover up, so what about the anxiety that you may see in family members who may have some kind of an issue? And if they're not telling you that there's a problem, are you paying enough attention to notice that something isn't right? And if you ask them, or they tell you there's a problem, here's the question I would have to ask you. Why is it so hard to get the benefit of the doubt? Have they just undeniably proven themselves over the years to be complete, compulsive, dirty liars, so much so that people have to doubt everything they say, unless it has the most hardcore, in-depth proof? The problem is, of course, that this is a big issue and um, may cause the family member making the noise to have to uncomfortably change some or many of their habits for life in order to help the other family member be a little bit more comfortable. But the thing you have to understand is that the noises are far more annoying than you think. For my part, when I was younger and first developed this problem in high school, I told myself that if it didn't get any less excruciating to be around people, I would have to kill myself, because life like this really isn't worth living. And if you have doubts that it really is that bad, then watch the videos that I'll post later about my own personal battle with misophonia. I'd prefer not to go into too much detail about it in this video, but for now let me just say that the pain of living from day to day, having to put up with such strong emotions, initially caused me to fall into several severe bouts of depression early on. And though I've gotten used to being so annoyed, ultimately it would definitely be easier to bear if people cared enough to be a little bit more cautious about their noises. It may seem like a big price to pay for something that has so little proof backing it up, but again, if you mistrust the person who says they have an issue, so much so that you require proof for a condition that they would know pretty damn well whether or not they have, then why would you even bother to hang around this person or give them any confidence at all? If you trust them and know that they're not into the habit of making up stuff or making themselves believe anything, and they say that they have an abnormal problem with something, it may not be a half bad idea to give them at least some consideration.